Now Entering Elwood is presented by the City of Elwood, Elwood Fire Equipment, the Tin Plate, and Ascension St. Vincent Mercy, with additional support from Graham Farr and Wilson, Hembry Motor Sales, Shepherd Auctioneers, Scott Reed Edward Jones, Elwood Community Development Corp., Kofer Fessler May Funeral Home, Elwood Chamber of Commerce, Progressive Plastics, Community Hospital, and Elwood Golf Links. Located in Madison County, Elwood prospered from the natural gas wells and later farming and canning factories, as well as the tin plate and glass factories. Throughout the years, Elwood has adapted to change, and today is no different. The residents will continue to adapt as the city makes progress. Thanks to its rich past, Elwood is characterized as the heart of Hoosierland and has a long, bright future to look forward to.
I am Mary Todd Jones, and you are now entering Elwood.
My name is Randy Simmons, and I've lived in Elwood all my life. My ancestors came here around 1835 and settled this area. Elwood was first called Quincy, and Quincy was laid out by my third great-grandfather, Mark Simmons, and my fourth great-grandfather, James Anderson. There was one North and South Street, which is Anderson Street, 3 East and West Streets, which is Walnut was North A, then Main Street, Highway 28, and Simmons Street, which is South A Street. Mark Simmons, he bought 40 acres and farmed that south of Main Street. James Anderson bought 40 acres north of Main Street and farmed that. I believe that they donated the ground for the city that is here today. In 1887, the first natural gas well in Elwood was drilled. The population started growing. In 1883, the population was over 2,000. By 1887, it had gone to over 5,000. 1890, it was over 8,000. By 1902, it was over 15,000 people. Factor after factory came to Elwood, free gas for everyone. Elwood was growing so fast, legend says, people put shacks and tents in their backyard to accommodate the population coming in. One of the factories was the American Tin Plate. It was the largest tin plate factory at that time in the world. People in Elwood, they didn't think the gas would ever run out. The city was lit with gas lights. The town used gas, the people in the town used gas lights, but the gas did run out. And slowly, factory after factory left Elwood, taking an enormous amount of the population with them. The farmers in Elwood stepped up and started growing tomatoes. This brought in tomato factories. At one time, there was 25 factories in Elwood and the surrounding area. My family is probably the oldest group of family here in Elwood today. My family was here from 1835 to today. Elwood's my home. All my ancestry has been here. I've never had a desire to leave Elwood. And I guess it's roots.
My dad was a coal miner in Terre Haute. And where I went to high school, I was good friends with a buddy that his uncle had a funeral home. And I started working there. And I played sports, and they would let me off for practice and games and all that. After I graduated and took a state board, got my funeral director's license, went back to Terre Haute, and I worked there maybe 2 or 3 years. And I went to mortuary college with a funeral director from Marion. And he gave me a call, and his embalmer went to Richmond and bought a funeral home there, so he needed some help. So my wife and I took the trip to Marion, and that's how we got up to Marion. Then from Marion, we used to go, you went around Elwood, you didn't go through Elwood. And we would go around Elwood and go back to our mother and dad's residence in Terre Haute for holidays and things. So the funeral home across the street, we always had coffee together down at the drugstore, and he mentioned about an older fella in Elwood that might be ready to sell. So my wife and I on the way to Terre Haute for Christmas, I stopped in and talked to him, and then the next February we bought the business. That's how we got to Elwood. We moved here. My 3 children, Jed was 7, my daughter was 5, and Ned was 3 months. Jed helped us for quite a while. Then he left us. Him and 2 other fellows started his corporation. Now they have over 50 funeral homes in 8 different states. So he did pretty well after he left the old man. My daughter is a nurse, and a great nurse. And then my youngest son, Ned, is one that runs our business now. We make working at the funeral home, believe it or not, enjoyable. We have fun. We celebrate birthdays. We do a lot of things together. And we've had people work for us for 18 to 20 years. Elwood is like all small towns. All funeral homes had ambulance service because we had the big car, I guess. And I bought a red and white ambulance, and we worked that real good here in Elwood. And then the ambulance service started getting better qualified, and the state had what you had to be an EMT. So my wife and I and my oldest son, Jed, we all became EMTs. That my wife was the first female EMT of Madison County. I was wanting to get involved in our town to do what I can to help. I was on a school board. That was the first thing I joined. The second was I started the JCs here in town. Oh, the Elks, and life member of the Elks, the Elwood Country Club. I played a lot of golf. That's what's good about a small town. You know everybody, and they know whether you need help or not. And they have just been super. That's one thing about Elwood, that they help. This town is going to boom one of these days. I'm going to say another 5 years, it won't even look like the same town. They've got a good school system. The town built a new city hall, new fire department, and a new police department. We lost our golf course. We did a lot of things to get that golf course back. And after we got that golf course back, now we got a new swimming pool, and that's named after my granddaughter. We've got some small businesses that's looking to come in here. Our town is going to break through. It's going to be a different community.
I have lived in Elwood, Indiana for 43 years, and I moved here when I married the love of my life, my husband. We raised 3 children here. We had a dental practice. I read an article that said you need to sit down and write down all the good things or all the blessings that you have in your life, and I started thinking about that in Elwood, Indiana. And so I started making my list, and the list started out slow. And then hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things started flowing from my pen. There are so many good things here, and so much good that that happens here. People come together to help those in need. 19 years ago, my boys were on their way to school, and there was an accident. We lost our youngest son. And this community really showed itself by being so wonderful and so special because it supported our family so much. My oldest son was taken to Methodist, and it was pretty critical. That week when we were in Methodist, so many people came down to visit him and encourage him and to spend time with us. And the school corporation came and dug out our driveway, and the mailman had never delivered so much mail, and he had to deliver it in grocery sacks that he had never seen anything like that. And they just kept coming. At the funeral home, the visitation, Pizza Hut delivered pizzas all evening because the kids from my son's class just kind of hung out. The kids just never experienced anything. Some of them had never even lost a grandparent or anything, and here was their buddy that was so active and full of life, and now he's no longer. We had a powwow that night, and we all held hands in a circle and let them talk and just tried to say encouraging things to them. At the funeral, the school corporation sent buses to the cemetery to haul the kids. The community has been so good to us, our family, and being supportive, and they've given me an opportunity to get back to them by sharing my faith and my energy and my time. I have been involved in the Little League here for 26 years. We've built a field, and we've had a lot of kids go through our program that come back with their children, which is pretty unique. There is a Coats for Kids program here that's been there for 26 years too, and it meets the needs of the kids in our community that don't have coats. Through the years, there's been PTO projects and fundraisers to help get playground equipment or just meet the needs in the schools. There's a stocking project that happens with our Christmas for Elwood, and that kind of adds to the joy for kids in this community. Actions come from words, and one phone call can make a whole different outcome to a problem or a need. This is the place to be, and I'm so grateful to this town, and I can't wait to see the next chapter in its book.
I walk every day unless there's rain or ice. I just walk every day. The same path every day, and I've just done it probably for the last 4 years. And people may know me by my name, or they'll know me just by calling, that must be the walker. I had a transplant in 2002. I'm lucky to be here today, but the transplant is hard. The medicine take is hard on the other organs. And the more you walk and the more you work and get your heart rate up, the better off you'll be handling that transplant and saving your other organs. And I'd just like to show people that I had a second chance at life, and that having that chance to show what can be done. In 1998, I was mowing the yard, and I went into cardiac arrest. And luckily at the time, someone had pulled up and seen me laying in the yard lifeless. So they called the fire department, Elwood Fire Department, and they got there within minutes and performed CPR on me and used an AED and got me back. And the next thing I remember is waking up in the hospital and thinking, what in the world am I doing in here? Because I had no idea what happened. And well, you went in cardiac arrest, this happened, you have a defibrillator now. I said, okay. I had the defibrillator, and then my plans were still to go back to work once I recovered from having the defibrillator. But I woke up on a garage floor where I had hit my head because the defibrillator wasn't adjusted quite right yet, and it didn't shock me when I started going cardiac arrest. It didn't hit the right rhythm, so I blacked out and hit my head. I think 3 or 4 years went by with the defibrillator. I was kind of okay, Then I kept getting shocked and shocked and shocked, and they couldn't control it no more. So that put me on the transplant list. And I believe it was on the list for 3 months, and a heart came, but the heart, they didn't believe was good enough for me. So I waited another month, and then another heart came, and it was a good heart. So they put it in me, and they just tapped the heart. That's sometimes you get them to going. And the date was 8/27/2002, and the heart started beating at 8:27 in the morning. Just by happens, just by chance, it was the same date and same time. And it took about 1 year to recover from that, from the procedure. And I seen my potential when I was recovering from it. You know what? I can make it back to work. And that was my goal. So I actually went back and got back into the workforce and continued working for years. Part of it was good just because I walked, because I wanted to do the best I could to save this heart. So now I'm 21 years past my transplant, going on 22 now. And I just think that's a miracle. The community, we had fundraisers and gatherings that helped raise funds to help me through this hard time. And everybody always supported me. After my transplant, I used to go to talk to individuals in the hospital to let them know this is how I went through, this is what happened, and this is what you might expect to happen. You could go to the rooms and talk to them, and it'd make them feel better to know this is how I did and what to kind of expect, through the process. And I just loved going there talking to the individuals in the rooms. Whenever my anniversary comes by for my transplant, I think more about the family that had the donation rather than my survival. I think more of them, of what they went through for losing a loved one. But from losing a loved one, I got to continue my life. But I concentrate on them. I love Elwood because it's a tight-knit community. Everybody hangs or sticks together. If someone is ill or a tragedy happens, everybody pulls together to help organize or fund and help that situation out. You're not just a number in Elwood, you're considered part of a family.
Well, I grew up in the 1960s, which was a lot different than today. So my parents have both recently died, but they still lived in the same home that we as children grew up in. And the neighborhood is still pretty much the same. Growing up, I remember the town as being a place where we did a lot of our shopping. Almost everything took place here in our hometown, between the dress shops, 3 shoe stores. It was nice when you walked in, everybody knew each other. They would call you by name. My dad was a local pharmacist, and I found out very quickly that everybody wanted to compare me. When I would see people, they would ask me if I was so-and-so's daughter. So again, I felt like there was not a whole lot I couldn't do that my parents were going to find out. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And I think as I got older is when I really realized how much that meant, the sacrifice that she had made. She was able to be a room mother. She was able to be a den mother. She was able to take us to different events. They didn't have to work. We had dinner on the table every night at 5:30, and then we were expected to be home at 5:30. There was no questions asked. Both of my parents were very involved in our community. My father was on the city council. He served on the park board. He served on the school board. My mom was very, very welcome wagon that they used to have. Mom was just one of those people, if they ever needed extra set of hands or feet, Mom was always there. And not only were Mom and Dad there, they took us 4 kids along with us. So it was definitely instilled in us. that we needed to give back to our community. And I think that, we've done very well with doing that. So much so now that my grandchildren are doing some of the things that my parents instilled in me. I served as the executive director for the Elwood Chamber for 12 years, and then I also worked in economic development alongside Mayor Jones for 6 years, and it was a great match between the Chamber and Elwood Community Development Corporation. Growing up in the community, I had a lot of contacts. I knew the people, and it just made it really easy to get into some of the businesses and talk to them. That was one thing that I did when I first started that position, was I put on my tennis shoes and off I went. Everywhere I went, I walked so I could run into people on the street and talk to them just to find out. So Elwood is a little bit different. With our chamber, we do plan a lot of events that take place here in Elwood, and we have a lot of different events. But a couple of them, one that had kind of gone quiet for a while was our Halloween parade, where our high school band leads it. The kids dress up. It might take 15 or 20 minutes to do, but the kids really liked it, so we brought that back. Growing up, I never understood, depending on who I was with or where I was. Some people would call it uptown, some people would call it downtown, which confused me as a child. But when I became with the chamber, it became very apparent that I wanted to change the version of downtown to uptown. I wanted things to go in a positive direction, and I'm really kind of honored that, today in some of our meetings, I do hear people say Uptown Elwood. So that's kind of close to my heart. Elwood is growing. I believe that, we are just ready to turn that corner with new businesses coming in. I think now it used to be that people would say, where is Elwood? But now people are starting to understand where Elwood is. My favorite part of Elwood, I think it's the people and the place. It's community. As I said, if you don't know the people, you know of them. You pass people on the street or you pass people in a store, they have a kind word to say about you. For me personally, people have stopped me and when my parents were living and asked, how my parents were doing. So I think it's just it's a great place, and it's going to be a great place to leave a legacy.
Where will Now Entering travel next? If you would like to see your town featured on an upcoming episode of our Now Entering series, please visit ballstatepbs.org/nowentering to nominate your town. To become a member of Ball State PBS and receive your DVD copy of Now Entering Elwood, call 800-252-9472 or go online at ballstatepbs.org.